That's why I have Daniel. Daniel's my CEO, essentially. Daniel is in charge of student success for Time to Build. He's also the second teacher. He's exceptional at what he does. He's very committed, and he just so happens to also be a really good teacher. I'm the professor, he's the lecturer. So he comes in and teaches basically a more applicable version of what I taught on the Tuesday.
I think people would be shocked to know how much Daniel, my 2IC, how much we focus on the customer experience more so than the actual program. We have meetings leading into every cohort that just are dedicated to, okay, what are the big needle movers we're going to add this cohort to make the customer experience that much better?
Daniel and I had a 2-hour call yesterday just to go through the flow of the next version of season 2 of the 6 weeks.
Based on the data that I now have from our incredible customer success manager, we saw a 40% increase in weekly homework completion over the duration of the program and a 35% increase in attendance across every single lesson in the 6 weeks, which, if you know course completion rates, is fucking insane.
Hey, welcome. I'm Daniel Mumba-Odoi, and I'm currently the 2IC of Tomnos Time to Build program, a 7-figure online education business that has taught over 800 students across the world how to build a powerful and profitable personal brand. I first joined the program in cohort 4 as a student.
With the information he'd learned, he decided to create the Solopreneur Sprints, a product he wished he had back when he first started his journey. And now with only 3,000 followers, he's doing over $20,000 a month because he attracted the right type of audience.
Came back in cohort 5 to deliver a guest lesson.
My name is Daniel Mumba-Odoi. I am incredibly grateful and humbled to have had time with all of you to run you through a bit of a community building 101. So thank you all so much, and let's rock it.
Beautiful. That was amazing. That was awesome.
And eventually Tom asked me to join the team from cohort 6 onwards as an integrator, wearing the hat of community operations, client success management, and general back-end wizardry. Or in short, I'm making sure both the program and Tom don't break or don't burn out. And in this video, based on popular demand from so many people asking, how do we maintain the program? What are the systems that we're using, and how we kept going from strength to strength? I'm going to share 6 of the key insights that you can plug straight into your online education business, no matter what stage you're at as an online founder. And rather than just telling you, I'm also going to show you. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to pull up the iPad on the screen. I'm going to give you some visuals and some points of reference that you can come back to later on. So as you can see on the screen right now, this is a really nice video that Tom shared. We're going to put a bit of a spotlight on exactly what I do. In his words, he says,
This is Daniel. Daniel's the whole reason that Time to Build runs as smoothly as it does.
I wouldn't say the entire reason why Time to Build runs smoothly, but it's a big part of what I thrive in and what I enjoy doing in building out systems, having previously worked at Uber and Google, and ultimately plugging all that experience into what he's built with Time to Build. As mentioned, we've had hundreds of wins of creators and professionals all over the world, and we've actually documented, this is a spreadsheet that I built recently for Tom, because we were just like, there's got to be a way we can track and start quantifying.
Let me show you something that is pretty bloody cool. So we have just finished putting together a student wins tracker, which basically allows us to check the total earnings of all of our students across Student Win. Our students just from Student Wins in the last 2 years have earned $996,461.15, which is fucking crazy. Having this tracker now, having the ability to see this, see everyone's name, see what they've done, see the earnings, and then see the number in front of me is fucking validating that the effort, the time, everything we're putting into this program, Daniel and I, Daniel's our secondary teacher, our head tutor at Time to Build, everything that we're putting into this is working and working exceptionally well. And so, yeah, I'm just fucking stoked. This is really fucking cool to have in front of me, and I wanted to obviously share that with you.
And since July of 2023, we've had over $2 million of verifiable wind that we keep stacking to every day. It's been pretty remarkable just to see the compounding of this happening, and the results are really starting to fly through. At the same note though, we've also burned out. We've broken things and we've had to rebuild them lots of times. And that has been the scars that I'm hopefully bringing forward to you right now. So you just get the lessons and you don't have to go through some of the ordeals that we had ourselves. But part of the game is honestly embracing all of the growing pains that come with it. And that's why we have weekly syncs, as you can see on the screen. I say it's a sprinkle of therapy, but ultimately it's a time that's dedicated towards making the program better and better. We are constantly in a process of learning. We've done a lot of things that have worked. We've learned a lot of things that haven't. So I hope this finds a lot of value to you when you're building out your online education business, specifically around the cohort model, which is how we find, those sprint containers often result in the most effective format of not only just like information retention, but implementation. Lesson number 1, your cohort is a transformation engine. The days of just selling information online, pre-packaging videos with 300 hours of content are gone. I really believe that from 2025 onwards, people want a clear transformation in the least amount of time with the least friction possible that is tailored to where they're at and what they need to be doing next. So recently we had to really honestly look at all of our content and acknowledge that while it got us to where we are, if we were really focused on student transformation, we could effectively cut and gut anything from 20, 30, 50% of the content in our slides or what we were presenting to students, because we had enough feedback over all these cohorts to learn what lessons, what insights, what moments were giving students aha, and what they were able to take and go implement straight away, while also looking at the content that just wasn't really shaking things up for them. And so one of the best things we've even been doing during this cohort is overhauling some of the practical lessons that I've been overseeing and ensuring that the tools that we deliver for students are direct, easy to use, and plug and play into their own business straight away. Number 2 is to make the community your co-teacher. I think a lot of online educators or those running education businesses would feel tempted to just like hire as many coaches, as many mentors, as many contractors to manage either like coaching, tutoring, or the delivery of all the sessions. Look, realistically, there'd be a lot of manpower we'd need if just the two of us were the only ones marking student homework or practical exercises. So while we still do make an effort to try and respond to our students in 7 days or less whenever they provide homework or landing pages for audits or anything they want our eyes across, between running sessions, practicals, DMs, backend support, and emails, we can't always get back within 2 to 3 days. However, one of the most valuable things you can do, especially in an online cohort, is making sure that there's quick turnaround and students feel like they have support every step of the way. So what we decided to do was using Circles gamification, and if you're on School as well, there's also a similar feature in there, where you can actually reward individuals or students in your program for making valuable contributions. So if, let's say, Johnny was to put up a post and he's asking for someone's feedback on his content or his landing page or whatever it might be, and then Sam jumps in and Sam provides some really valuable feedback. And there are others, not only just Johnny, but others that like Sam's comment and appreciate him. He gets more points in the community. For those that then accumulate the most points by the end of a week, we are then able to recognize and thank that student for their contributions. And in our case, Tom does a audit of any aspect of their brand or business that they want Tom's eyes across. So it's a bit of a win-win. The student gets recognition for providing value, and we also are able to effectively deploy and incentivize an entire cohort of students to also act as markers. So it's not just Tom and myself or you and maybe a VA or you and a coach that you've also got in your program, but you actually activate the rest of the community to get involved. Now, you may not do audits. That may not be the way you want to incentivize it. There may be another offer, whether it's a credit, more complimentary usage of your product, whatever it is. Find a way to really engage and incentivize community engagement so that everyone feels like they've all got a part. Number 3, and this is particular, especially when you're running a program where you may have students in different time zones all over the world, or they may want to join the program at the time, but they may not be available because of commitments with work, with family, or as I said, with time zone differences. Not everyone shows up live to all of the calls, and that's totally okay. You may expect that you're going to get 100% turnout rate, and let's be honest, if you think about your show up rate at university or college or high school, not everyone was in every class at any given moment. Fortunately, because we work in a digital era, you can tailor your program to make sure students have the capacity to still follow along with the content. We make an effort that ideally within 24 hours, but at the latest within 48 hours, we have high quality recordings of the practicals, the hot seat calls, or of the core lessons uploaded so students can follow along. And to go a step further, there are some students that don't even show up to any of the live calls or watch any of the videos, and that's totally okay. Oh, but what if they ask for a refund? What if they haven't got any results? We highly recommend implementing an action-based guarantee. That is, there are requirements that a student needs to undergo in order to be eligible for a refund. So they showed up to the classes, they at least watched some of the lessons, they made at least 2 or 3 posts. Make the minimum requirement of what you typically see successful students do, so that if a student does that, they start implementing into their business or it's over a time period, honestly say that they've tried their best, then feel free to give them a refund. But ultimately, we just believe in meeting people where they're at, and the cohort model doesn't work for everyone, especially if you're in one country and you've got an international audience of students, which is the case of what we have here at Time to Build. But I also want to shout out that you will definitely have some keen beans that are willing to wreck their circadian rhythm for the duration of the cohort. Now, your cohort may run from anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. In our case, ours is currently set for 6 weeks. I think it's totally realistic to expect that some of your students are willing to show up and make the effort for just a short period of time, because the transformational impact of the content you're delivering is truly life-changing. And they know that by showing up live, there's a higher likelihood of them implementing and executing everything that you're teaching. Number 4, layer in practicals and hot seat calls. So if you think about university, just like when your lecturer may have 1 or 2 key lectures during the week, those are like the key sessions that Tom teaches. So those are the strategies, the frameworks, and the principles and models that we provide. We don't want everyone to just sit on information retention alone. The best results come when you go from information to implementation. So part of what my role has been is to actually run practical sessions. We take some of the core frameworks or lessons from what Tom teaches, we break them down into actionable timed exercises that we can do live in real time over Zoom. So we chunk them down into like 5-10 minute timed exercises, put on some lo-fi music. I prompt everyone with slides on the screen and they get stuck into the work. And the best thing is they can share their answers in the Zoom chat. Others can see what they're all doing. And we've had really great feedback that the time pressure of having to do live avoids students from overthinking and just gets them taking action. And it's so powerful when by the end of a practical session, they've built out a plan for how to manufacture viral content or an MVP of an offer or a product that they're working on. That's what we consider real transformation. It may not be the finished product, but you also want to leave students with outcomes, not just information. And to go a step further, often there's a lot of different questions that can come up before or after some of the calls. So Tom started implementing a hot seat call, effectively an opportunity to get one-on-one coaching and direct feedback for the nuances of every single student. This has been one of the most popular features of the entire cohort, because even though some students may jump on the call and they don't themselves have a question at the time, or they don't feel confident asking a question, 80 to 90% of the time, the questions that their peers are asking are 100% relevant to them. And so often we get a surprisingly very strong turnout to a Q&A hot seat, even if the majority of the call doesn't actually ask a question, because there's just so much gold that comes from those conversations that Tom and I can't account for in our actual live sessions. Number 5, highly recommend going live before going evergreen. Everyone wants the passive income dream. You just build a course once and sell it forever. But let's be honest, your first version of your product is not going to be your best, and you're only going to get there by iteration. Time to Build is currently up to its 10th iteration, and we're in the process of overhauling the entire curriculum we've built to date because we know it can get even better, cutting out what we don't need and going with what we do. And the only way we get there is by delivering it live, seeing what students are responding to in the Q&A, understanding what sections landed and what didn't. And it gives us a chance to iterate between cohorts and practice again and again and again. Tom's delivered some of these sessions 10 times since the first version. And since I've joined on board, I've run some of my practical sessions a total of 5 times, and I'm still refining, gutting things and adding new things in based on student feedback. So highly recommend. I know it's not everyone's strength, but doing it live is such an engaging format. Even if you're not a natural public speaker, your audience will be honestly so enamored to be able to jump on a live experience. And as long as you've got slides, a little bit like what I have at the moment, I effectively look at slides as like a bullet point script or cue cards if you ever did public speaking or debating in high school. Figure out what resonates and recognize that the energy is unmatched. And that is often the thing that students always come back for and will rave about because there's so few people doing it. So if you've got a talent or a proclivity to want to deliver live, that's how you're going to cut through the noise in a world of just like pre-recorded instant AI information. Real-time engaging live experiences are going to have a premium going forwards. Well, at least that's my hot take. And last but not least is to build a bank of what I call just-in-time tutorials. If a student asks a question during a hot seat call or a Q&A after a lesson or a practical, note it down, realize that sometimes they're very, very detailed tutorials. It could be, how do I build a landing page? Or how do I make a ManyChat automation? As a result of that, we've then taken that feedback, gone and recorded a separate tutorial of what we consider a supplementary, and then we build them in as the students ask for them. So rather than thinking you need to build your entire magnum opus from the outset, let your student feedback guide you and recognize blind spots or things that you didn't think about. They'll be totally forgiving if you can say, hey, we haven't thought of that, or we don't have a resource for that. But if you give me the next week, I'm going to go and record a little tutorial. I'll upload it and add it to our bank of resources, or what you might consider your classroom or supplementary materials. And if you have it up, that's already going to compound in the future because you've preempted a question that future cohorts are going to have. And you can now direct students to that same tutorial. As an example, I recorded a ConvertKit tutorial, or now known as Kit, the email platform for creators, one time way back in like cohort 6. That has now served us and compounded us for every single cohort. And as you can see from this feedback over here, Nelson shared that he's so stoked. We showed him how to set up a domain, how to set up his sending email address and his landing page. I recorded that 5 cohorts ago, and he used that recently to get started with his email. So that just shows the power of building assets that compound and give you leverage going forwards. You don't have to have them all from the start. Again, just meet your students where they are or do them just in time. I just want to let you know this didn't come to us overnight. In fact, I spent 6 years at the start of my professional career working in tech. I first worked in Uber's driver operations team. I then worked in Google, and I did a lot of work on customer engagement and building educational assets to help them across their entire life cycle to really help our customers succeed. And then over the last few years, I've been working one-on-one as a trusted 2IC partner or a strategic operator for founders across info, e-com, and tech in Australia and across the world. And this is what I'm currently plugging into at Time to Build. So if you're a founder yourself and these are some of the challenges that you're having, I hope hope this helps you. If you have any questions at all about anything I've covered, drop them in the comments below or reach out to any of the links or resources I've included of the description of this video. Or if that's not your cup of tea, YouTube has queued up this video tailored just for you. So check it out and I'll see you there.